All right, welcome to part B. We're going to determine the intercepts for nonlinear relations. So let's take a look at the intercepts for relations, okay? So we've got a linear one and two nonlinear. So for graph number 1, list the coordinates of the points where each graph crosses the x-axis. So in graph 1, it crosses the x-axis at -3 and 0. Graph 2 crosses the x-axis at -2 and +3. So as coordinates, it is -2 and 0 and 3 and 0. And then graph 3 crosses at -4 and +4. So again, it's going to have two intercepts. So -4 and 0, 4 and 0. List the coordinates of the points where each graph crosses the y-axis. So crosses the y-axis. So let's look at graph number 1. Crosses the y-axis right there. So it is at 0, 5. Watch the order of your points. Okay, and then the y-intercept right here is at 0 and 6. And then for this one right here, we've got 0 and -4, 0 and +4. So what do all the points have in common? Well, let's look at this very carefully. All of these points have a y value, so the y coordinate is 0. That means all of our points are written as x and 0. What do all the points in C have in common? Okay, so in C, the x coordinate is 0. So all of our points are going to be written as 0 and y. Okay, so this is really important to remember. All right, so now we're going to algebraically determine the x and y intercepts for each of the following equations. Okay, so let's say I want to find my x-intercept. I know that it needs to be written as x and 0. Okay, that's the x-intercept. So what I have to do is I got to plug in 0 into the y. So I'm going to have x squared plus 0 squared equals 16. Well, that just gives me x squared equals 16. Now, to get x by itself, I need to square root both sides. But something interesting happens. When I square root a variable and I'm solving for that variable, what I actually have is two values, the positive value and the negative value. Because remember that if I square +4, that gives me 16. If I square -4, it also gives me 16. So we can write our answer as plus minus the square root of 16, which gives us +4 and -4. So I can write that as plus minus 4. So the x-intercept is going to be -4 and 0 and +4 and 0. Now I need to find the y-intercept, so it's going to be the same kind of idea, but for the y-intercept, I'm going to change the color here to green. The y-intercept is written as 0 and y. So that's the y-intercept. Okay, so in that case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sub in 0 in for x. So 0 squared plus y squared is equal to 16. Same thing happens. Take the square root of y and the square root of 16. That gives me plus minus 16. Y then is also equal to plus minus 4. So my y-intercept is going to be 0 and 4 and 0 and -4. Okay? Now I've got y equals x cubed minus 8. So same idea. If I want to find my x-intercept, let's pick a different color. Let's go with that one. So that's going to be x and 0. And for the y-intercept, it's going to be 0 and y. So I'm going to plug in 0. Rearrange to get x by itself. I'm going to take the cube root of 8. Now this one is different because it is positive 8, not negative 8. So in this case, we're only going to have one answer. And that's going to give me 2 is equal to x. So my x-intercept is going to be 2 and 0. For my y-intercept, it's going to be y equals 0 cubed minus 8, which just gives me y is minus 8. And that gives me a coordinate of 0 and negative 8 for my y-intercept. Okay, I believe that is it for that question. Let me just double check. Yeah, okay. So you're going to work on the check your understanding of 7b and extra practice 7a, 7b. And what do we have here? Yeah, this is good. Okay, and then I'm going to start on lesson 8, which is domain and range.